to the Lived Experience podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tamea Ryan, and today's episode, Rhythm of Empowerment, a conversation with Kenny J. I have the pleasure of conversing with talented singer, songwriter, and producer Kenny J. We're going to get into a conversation about his latest single, You're a Woman, which is a tribute to women worldwide. Kenny has a vast journey through musical experiences. In the early 90s, he started out in music production. He's mastered various instruments. He's also made significant contributions to projects across multiple musical genres, including hip hop, R&B, Latin music, gospel music. So he's definitely been doing this thing. And I'm excited to have him here today to talk about his musical experiences and also some of his personal experiences with grief and loss as well. So thank you so much, Kenny J, for joining me today and getting into the topic of music, life, love, all those great things.
Yeah, Mr. Mia, thank you so much for having me on this. Always a pleasure to kind of grace someone else's platform. Thank you for the opportunity, for sure.
Thank you so much. I'd like to just dive right in and like for you to share a little bit about your journey, your experiences, and what you like to share with those listening today.
Yeah, music has always been a part of my life. I was raised in the small town of Englewood, New Jersey. That's northern New Jersey, around the New York area, maybe 5 or 10 minutes from New York. And music was just what it was for me. My dad was a musician. I started in the church, and as time trickled on, from sitting on the front row at the church with my guitar, falling asleep, to now doing music as a profession. I love it. I just don't know what music will be like. My life will be like without music. Music is definitely my sedative for peace. For me, it's just something that I kind of had a part of my life forever. So it'll be that way until it's not. So that's what it is. It's, in a nutshell, that's what it is.
Thank you for sharing that. And as I had kind of talked about a little bit in the intro, you've done a little bit of everything: production, playing instruments. So talk to me about the differences of production versus performing. What do you like most?
I like them all, but production in studio is, they call it a studio rat. So the studio is where everything is created. Before it hits the stage, it starts in your mind as an idea, and it comes to a studio to get laid out and processed. And once that's as a foundation is done, and then other sorts of production gets done for stage and all of that sort of stuff. I like it all. If I had my choice to choose, I love the studio. I love the stage, but I can kind of if the stage wasn't going on, I would probably won't have any problem with staying in the studio. So the studio is probably going to be where it's going to lend to me more comfortable, and I enjoy it a lot. Not that I don't enjoy stage, but production is where it's at for me.
So sort of being behind the scenes and making sure it all comes together and comes out perfect.
Yeah. You gotta know where I kind of can do anything in that respect. It's important as any artist that's in an independent industry such as music these days, because it hadn't been that way for a long time. But if you're an independent artist, it's important that you know how to do a bunch of different things, because when one door opens or one door closes, you have to be able to, find something to do other than just that. You can't be a one-trick pony these days. You got to know how to do film. You got to know how to do film edits and create on the computer. You have to learn how to do instrumentation. If you don't have a keyboard, how to actually really get the sound that you hear out of your mind into some sort of recording platform. So I'm grateful to be able to know how to do a bunch of different things.
Tell us about, how did you get into playing instruments? Because I always am amazed when I see people self-taught or just learning how to play instruments.
Yeah, first, my dad was a musician. That was probably the introduction. In my mama's womb, I was probably kind of curated for music. As I kind of was born, I remember stories my mother used to tell me. I'm banging on pots and pans. I'm tearing up pots and pans and making all this sorts of noise. Every musician to some degree comes out of the church to some degree. And that's where you see a lot, you experience a lot, you understand how crowd motivation is. You understand what's going to sound good and what's not. I didn't grow up in a church where everybody was like, oh, you sound good. Now, if you don't sound good, they'll tell you to have a seat until you do. My dad was just, a musician. He was a keyboardist. He was a singer. He was a drummer. So he never actually sat down and said, hey, do it this way. Coming up those days, they were more of a parents that say, hey, look at what I'm doing. I ain't teaching you too much, because if you got the passion about it, you're going to do it without me teaching you or not. And I learned that way. I had the passion for it, and I just stuck with it.
And just kept growing.
Would never stop. I played football in high school. I stopped playing football and was good. I stopped for music.
Wow. So you felt like you had to choose. You were going down a path and you said, okay, I can invest my time either into one or the other.
Yeah.
And it landed.
Yeah. Not to mention all that physical contact and, stomping your toe and all this jumping on you and all that. Nah, I'm cool. I'm good.
Said I'm safer on the music side.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't have a problem with it, but I enjoyed music a whole lot more, for sure.
What's your creative process like, especially in the studio? Like, what happens when Kenny J gets into the studio with someone?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but sometimes it is so different on many different occasions. So it starts out, I could be laying in my bed, sleep. I could be awakened out of my sleep to jot down whatever is in my head, whether it's melody, you have to come down and you have to kind of get to working that out. Because sometimes if a melody hits your head, you're not going to remember it. So you got your phone, you can save it, on your voice memo, or you could write down the phrase or whatever the case may be. And when you come down to the studio, as long as you got something to start from, who knows, it could be a lyric, it could be a melody, it could be a rhythm. But once I started, it's hard to let go until it's finished. And sometimes you got to even know when that creative process has stopped. And because if you overdo it, you could put out something that's like, yeah, you tried too hard on this. It has to be a natural occurrence. It can't be forced, because if it's forced, it won't sound right.
So really that organic process for you.
Yeah, it's very organic, very organic. I don't like to listen to what people are doing other than just to appreciate what they do. Because sometimes in creatively, if you listen too much of something or listen to so much of something, it'll become something that you do for you. So you got to know how to shut off just the listening, just to see what people are doing and not necessarily let it translate into what you're doing. Because if you do that, you'll sound like everybody else. And I don't like to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to spend a little bit of time talking about your new projects that you have coming up.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have an upcoming album called Rhythm and Love, and you dropped a single recently. So tell us a little bit about that. Yeah,
the single was dropped on International Women's Day. It was just an homage to women in support of them, letting them know as a man that you're empowered. We support you. And women get so much of the short end of the stick so many times. And it was important for me during that time. And it wasn't kind of for that. I was going to have somebody else sing the song, but I was like, man, creatively, why not have it from a perspective of a man, just to kind of give women a perspective that all men aren't out here trying to take advantage of them. Some men are out here in support of their woman, and not to heal them necessarily, but just be there as a support to them, to let them know that we're in the corner. You bear children. You take care of so many different things behind the scenes that you have to be appreciated.
And we are going to take a short break and check out Kenny J's new song, You're a Woman.
What have we done to treat women so cold? Treat them like they're nothing when she's worth more than gold. Women to me are like diamonds, I love the way you shine. The most precious treasure, I love the way you shine. I see your smiling face, girl, with your style and grace. Your spirit fills the room, gives me chills when you enter in. You change the atmosphere, your heart is so sincere. Your love is pure, my lady. You hold my heart with care. I see you smiling crazy. It looks so good on you. You're valuable, expressive. Don't let another take it from you. Your heart is good, just love it. Your soul connects, never broken. You're a woman. You're divine with confidence. Elegant, your compassion. have a giving heart with love that's around you. You're divine, you're on your grind, you're refined, divine. You're a woman, you're a woman, you're a woman, you're a woman. Your strength, your poise, we honor. Your love so sweet and fire. Support a life, explore you. Bury the pain you carry. One man I love and praise you. Have tied your heart with true love. Appreciate sacrifice, never broken. You're a woman. Give you your flowers. One day we honor. Celebrate your love. Hold it tight, not fly away. You're in a class by yourself. Beautiful to yourself. You're a woman. You're a woman. You're a woman. I see your smile, embrace it. It looks so good on you. You're valuable, express it. Don't let another take it from you. Your heart is good, just love it. Your soul connects, never broken. You're a woman. Your strength, your poise, we honor. Your love so sweet and fire. Support a life, explore you. Bury the pain you carry. One man I love and praise you. Have tied your heart with true love. Appreciate sacrifice, never broken. You're a woman. 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 You're a woman.
So for me, you know, writing that song and putting it out as a singer on it, as the artist on it, it was a huge joy, and so many people are supporting it. And I'm just ecstatic about it. And it's making a lot of noise from getting, I mean, no one puts in information for you to get some sort of award. You kind of get nominated for stuff just for being the protagonist of being positive and empowering. And that's what that experience was like. The new record is an EP. It's a combination of a different styles of different songs from love, from perspectives, from just vibes. You know, one song on there called Protect Your Heart. It was a song that I had to do because my daughter came to me with a situation with a young gentleman. I'll use that term loosely, that was trying to force himself in situations that he did not qualify for, particularly around the areas of you did not know, or he did not know what her favorite color was. He didn't know my name. He didn't know her mom's name. He didn't know anything. And he's trying to go in areas that only people that know those situations or know those things should get access to. And I was just telling her really to protect her heart. And I'm being real stealthy with what I say, because it's important that people understand. It's important that I be present as a dad, you know, in my daughter's life. And it's important that I be a dad present in my son's life, because both of those perspectives are very, very important in our families. And writing that song was a joy. She loves it. And it's just called Protect Your Heart. I got it's called Sweet Summer Day on there. I got a song called Is It You? I got a song on there called Loved. And it's just going to be something for sure. July 10th is dropping.
July 10th? Okay. So we're definitely going to have you get that information out where people can go and download it and stream it and find it. And in making this album, what really inspired it? Because I know you like to be behind the scenes a little bit. So what kind of made you get into the realm of wanting to actually perform and be the artist?
I've always performed it, and I've always was an artist. I love the studio, so I stay in here, you know. So putting this album together, it was going to be a full-length record. But as far as marketing is concerned, these days, the way folk consume music, it's not necessary to put out a 12, 15 song record. You know, people don't consume music that much. So to stay visible, I kind of split that record up and said, we're going to kind of strategically place the music in certain areas of the year so we can kind of stay visible and stay working and stay doing what we do. This record was just born out of trying to get that nostalgia of what the 90s sounded like. The back to rhythm and love, it seems like we lost the essence of what love is in our music. And we go to the what looks good. And I wanted to get music and artistry back to love, back to loving your lady, back to spending time with her, back to doing all of those things that really, really was the foundation of successful relationships. These days, it's just kind of crazy the way our relationships are going. And I wanted to kind of get back to that.
Yes. And I know every time I hear a song that has like that 90s vibe, it just takes me back down memory lane. I'm like, oh, this has a 90s feel to it, because it was just like, you just feel it, right? That energy.
Yes.
And now it's like, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm getting old maybe, but I'm just like, man, you can't even listen to like an R&B song, they're cursing, it's like, it doesn't give you that feeling, right? The 90s. No disrespect to the new heads out there, but that 90s music was it.
I'm sorry. It was. And nowadays you see that 90s feel kind of emerging back on the scene. It was never lost. It was just, it wasn't as popular because so many powers that be, want to put stuff in our community that kind of that's kind of fueling problems and fueling issues and fueling things. And now it's insurging back, and people really kind of want that. So, my mother at the age that I am, so I am just I'm so much on the style with my kids. I'm not trying to, look like a young guy, but my daughter looks at me like, you just do too much. Like, come on. I was like, and I'm like, I can't not do it because that's who I am. I can't dress like an older guy with carpenter pants on and boots, and I can't do that. And I can't do that. I got to be who I am, and I fit this mold perfectly and it's just apparent. It's just a part of the era. So, of course that 90s vibe is going to come into the area because, people like us still push the agenda, and, it's not going to go anywhere. It's never died. It's never dead. It's just kind of suppressed. So now it's emerging and it's getting back out and being more popular.
Yes. And you hear, people remaking 90s songs now and things like that, so it's always been there. And I think as an independent artist, can you talk about that experience of being an independent artist?
Yeah, it has its ups and it has its downs. Of course, as an artist that could be signed to a label, the access that they have to different people and things and just areas are a little easier. Independent artists don't necessarily have that access unless they have been exposed to the record company space. As an independent artist, I like this area here because you control everything. Of course, there's a huge amount of more work you have to do because you don't have a machine behind you. You have to kind of get out here and do everything yourself. You have to create your videos. You have to, create your styling, your looks, your music. Everything is funded by you. I love that. And it's a process, but it is something, to be happy for, that I at least could still be in the industry, but not necessarily have that big engine behind me. So, I love it. It has its ups and downs, but, independent is kind of where it is for me. Now, if somebody come to me with a $10 million check and say, yo, we want to push your project, I will be
signing away.
Yeah. I wouldn't compromise my sound, but if you're going to take that money, you have to understand that something is going to be compromised, and you have to be willing to decide how that's going to work for you. So of course, even in the record industry, even signed to a label, it has its ups and downs. Independent artists have their share of ups and downs also. So, it's an equal balance, I think, to some degree.
And how do you balance that, or how would you balance that coming in? Because even your perspective on music now, as you mentioned, it's not maybe what is technically popular right now. You're talking about women empowerment, where maybe the next artist is talking about something totally different.
Right.
How do you balance that, remaining true to yourself, but still trying to fall into that mainstream?
Balancing it for me is not a problem because I have to continue to be who I am. If I run over who I am or disregard that, I'm not being true to me. And in essence, the music won't be as honest as it should be. Balancing it, I don't look at what mainstream is doing, because that's when you fail. Because as soon as you try to want to be like somebody else, and as soon as you try to want to hit an agenda or something that's kind of fits outside of your spectrum, I think your audience loses the essence of who you really are, and the creativity goes completely out the window. For me, I want to be true to who I am. My daughters, I have people, everybody is paying attention, and it's not that I'm worried about they're paying attention to me as opposed to me being true to who I am. I could go to sleep and not worry about, an agenda that I've put out there that's disrespectful. I can go to sleep understanding that every piece of my music that I put out is going to kind of uplift and have a positive essence or positive thing in life. It's just not about women. It's just not about men. It's about culture. It's about Black. It's about white. It's about everybody's fitting in a world is so diverse. I want to be a part of just massaging the idea or the perspective that we should all be okay with each other. I don't care what race you are, what your sexual preference is, whatever. It doesn't matter. As long as you can live life and be respectful and just pay attention and be a part of the solution instead of the problem.
And I love that because music just has this ability to bring people together. No matter, as you mentioned, it has this inclusive power to bring people together.
Right.
Speaking of that, just transitioning to a more personal note, I know that you recently coped with loss. And do you mind opening up and sharing a little bit about that experience, how that's influenced your music and your perspective in life?
I've always been influenced by relationships. Is it because my wife, unfortunately, for 21 years, I was married for 21 years, had passed away last year from the complications from ovarian cancer. It is important for me that I push the agenda on making certain that with no one's an expert on relationships, that I continue to push that into the atmosphere of what it is, how a man in the 21st century could be married, taking care of his family, doing what he can and doing what he needs to. And loss comes that way. You still have to push, you still have to press, and you still have an agenda that you have to fit. Not a negative agenda, but an agenda that kind of can still put your presence in your heart here on earth. I loved her. 21 years, obviously, that's a long time. It's a lifetime. And I just want to continue to push and do what I do. She loved my music. She loved my voice. And I just kind of scream it a little louder. I'm sure she hears it, but just kind of want to continue doing what I do. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And I offer my condolences.
Thank you.
And I know that grief is this continuum. It's days that are better than others.
Right.
And I appreciate you hearing how you're still pushing forward and using music as an outlet.
Yes. Trust me. The process of it is a process. It's just a process. So be clear. It's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to feel like you don't want to be bothered. It's okay to take your time. It's okay to do that. Let the loss be what it is, but still process whatever that is. Don't let anybody tell you that it's just been long enough. You got to do this. You got to do that. I will never listen to anybody who hasn't ever experienced this before. It has to be something that you speak to a professional about and get direction from them. It is okay to process through it. Take your time, process through it. And it's never too late. It's never too much. It's never anything. Take your time. If you don't want to be bothered, now don't be bothered.
And thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable to talk about that and talking about seeking professional help. I'm a social worker, so I'm always for, individuals seeking out support, especially men of color, because that's something that's not always appreciated and embraced. So thank you for speaking on that.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there's someone listening that's going to touch and inspire them to get that support.
Yes.
Looking towards the future, where do you see things going? Are you hoping to put out more albums? What do you have planned?
It'll never stop. My albums and what I'm doing for the culture and for positivity and for love. It's just going to continue. It's not going to stop. So expect it to be something continuously a part of the conversation. I will always speak positive. I love peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not willing to compromise that for anybody. My peace and my music is something that I think the world needs. And the agenda of that alone should be enough to keep me busy, because it's a job. It's a lot of negativity out here. And it seems they're perpetuating the negative more than they are the positive. And of course, I'll never run out of content. I'll never run out of perspective. I'll never run out of still putting that into the atmosphere, because it's certainly necessary. So expect it in the near future. It'll get bigger and better. Perspectives will be a little more complex, but the end of it all will be prosperity, empowerment, and love and positivity.
Yes. And we need that. And as you mentioned, it doesn't always get highlighted the way that it should. Well, it doesn't get highlighted the way that it should.
Very much so.
You artists such as yourself who are continuing to push it, and again, finding that balance, that's what we need, spreading those positive messages and empowerment. Yeah. Where can folks find you? Check out your new music, get your album.
Instagram is going to be Kenny Wilkins. TikTok is going to be Kenny J. Wilkins, the number 7. Facebook is going to be Kenny J. Wilkins. I also have another site on Facebook called Kenny J. My website is going to be kennyjmusic.com, and you can catch my music on all the digital platforms. Back to Rhythm and Love Volume 1 is dropping July 10th. You're a Woman is available. The Love Is All We Need dance version and original is available. I just got an invite to be a part of the Grammy voting member association. So I got a bunch of awards and things that I'm doing. Just if you love positivity, if you love just being a part of solutions instead of problems, and not pushing the agenda of foolishness, which is infiltrating the internet these days, come on through. And if you are that person, I do love that. Come on by and let us help kind of massage a different perspective and a different mindset to think better and to love better. So
yes. Keep an open mind.
Yeah.
So, that's what it's all about. And I appreciate that, your consistency. And,
thank you.
And like you said, you are who you are. And that's what it's about, being your authentic self. Is there anything you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Anything I'd like to leave the listeners with. So I'll be in Texas next week, and I'll be in California a couple of weeks after that. I'm pushing the agenda of love. Love yourself. Love your kids, love your wife, love your mom. You don't know when the last time you're going to have a conversation with them. Push positivity, push love, embrace them, love them. And even the man on the street that you don't know his name and he's hurting, he doesn't have any food, give him something. You don't know what he's going to do with it, but that's not your problem. Your problem is to make sure that you're doing what your heart's telling you to do. Love, empower, and be a great person.
Thank you. And listeners, we will have Kenny J's information in the podcast description, so you can go and find him on social media, get his music, and continue to follow him. Thank you so much, Kenny J, for being on my platform. I hope to have you back soon.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
And listeners, I will see you next time. Thank you.